Hi everyone, it's Fiona Edgar here. This is a presentation about the modern planets and their use in astrology. The modern planets are also known as the generational planets because they move so slowly around the zodiac that they affect entire generations. They're not personal planets. So they're kind of controversial because in modern astrology, Western astrology, most astrologers will use these modern planets as rulers of some of the signs. And I kind of disagree with that. Now, Vedic astrology, which has been around for thousands of years, they obviously are aware of the discovery of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, but they continue to use the traditional rulers. Now, I will fully admit that I also used the modern rulers for a long time. And well, when I was first starting to study astrology, the internet didn't exist. There were no astrologers in Northern Ireland, or probably the whole of Ireland at that point. So all I had to go by was a lot of books that were written by very modern, mostly American astrologers. Because of the internet and access to, you know, ancient books and texts, I have educated myself on this topic. And I fully believe that we should continue to use the traditional rulerships. And I'm going to explain why in this presentation. So when did this start? It kind of started around the time that the Theosophical Society were very active. So Madame Blavatsky and her gang. And that was a kind of the start of the New Age movement. So I'm not really a fan of Madame Blavatsky at all. And there was a particular astrologer called Alan Leo. You probably have heard of him. He was a member of the Theosophical Society, and he kind of really influenced this decision along with other astrologers. So traditionally within Western astrology, since the Greek period, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars have been the rulers of Aquarius, Pisces, and Scorpio. But the rulerships have changed. They started to change within the late 1800s. Now, what is the reason for this? So I think that modern astrologers have lost their connection with the natural sky. And one of the reasons for that is because of astrology software. Now, I think astrology software is great. I have been a practicing astrologer since 2013, and it makes my life a lot easier. You know, I don't have to go outside and look at the sky and calculate these points on a piece of paper. I can simply draw it up within seconds. However, as a result of that, we have lost our connection to the visibility of planets in the sky, which are extremely crucial. So when astrology was first practiced, at least we have evidence that it goes back to 5,000 years ago. In reality, it is probably much, much older. But those astrologers, they would notice the planets that were visible in the sky. They would notice that at certain times of the year, a star would be on the horizon in the morning. At other times, it would be visible at night. And they would base that. They would make their astrological analysis based on what they could see with their own eyes in the sky. And I also think that one of the theories about astrology, how does it work? Well, it is said that the planets in the sky, they are just simply reflecting the internal state of the people that live on Earth, both at a personal level and in a kind of global or societal level. Now, of course, the chakra system, which is a very ancient kind of belief, that goes back many thousands of years. And there are 7 chakras, 7 main chakras, and 7 classical planets. Each one of those classical planets is said to rule over one of the chakras. But basically, in a nutshell, the planets that we can see with our naked eyes in the sky have the most impact. So, of course, Vedic astrologers, they are aware that Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto have been discovered, but they continue to use the traditional rulers. I'm a big fan of Vedic astrology. I am a Western astrologer. There actually doesn't have to be this huge conflict between the two systems, as they both focused on different parts of astrology. Western astrology is more solar based. Vedic astrology focuses on the moon more, but their system has been unbroken for thousands of years. Western astrology in particular has gone through censorship and corruption by Christianity, Islam, and of course the New Age, and kind of subversive characters within the New Age. Also, when the Great Library of Alexandria burned down, which, there were a couple of fires there until eventually it was destroyed, probably contained a lot of knowledge about Hellenistic astrology. But I am a huge fan of Western astrology. That's what I practice. But there doesn't have to be this kind of conflict or competition between the two systems. Anyway, the Vedic astrologers, they still use these traditional rulerships. So I use the traditional rulerships, and so do many other classical astrologers. So what do these modern planets symbolize? They are very much connected to a particular period of the Kali Yuga, which we are now in. It's also known as the Age of Darkness. These planets, although they are connected with a few positive things, they do mostly symbolize the most destructive themes of the modern age. So like comets, they are connected with generational changes that unfold over a long period of time. So when this particular yuga that we're in is going to come to an end, and all of these weird technologies are lost, we will actually not be able to see these planets with our naked eyes. So let's start and talk about some of these planets and what they represent. I'll start with Uranus. So Uranus is the planet that makes people giggle because of the name, but Uranus was not even discovered until 1781. It's the seventh planet from the sun. It is 3 billion kilometers from Earth. It's really not visible without a telescope at all, unless you go to the top of a mountain on a clear day and there are no clouds. It might appear as a dot if you're lucky. So Uranus is named after the Greek sky god. Now, the weird thing about Uranus is that he doesn't actually appear on any pottery that archaeologists have found. So what does that mean? I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not an archaeologist, but there seems to be something strange going on. Now, Uranus in modern astrology, what does he symbolize? So he is actually connected to anti-traditional beliefs. So movements like feminism, transgenderism, and transhumanism. I'm not giving you my opinion on these particular things. However, we can connect Uranus with all of them. Uranus also is connected to advanced technologies, such as artificial intelligence, nuclear weapons. Now, it's not all bad. He also rules electricity and the internet. The internet can be absolutely fantastic if you're using it for the right things, if you're using it in an educational way. So also, if you have, let's say, for example, you lost one of your arms and you got an artificial arm, that would be a Uranian concept. Uranus is also connected with the artificial extension of life. So one of the main things here is that Uranus is connected to financial crises, such as the Great Depression, the Great American Depression, the 2008 financial recession, and of course, the current crisis. So in particular, an aspect between Uranus and Pluto, which is called a square, which is a difficult aspect. This pops up over and over again, connected to the destruction of these kind of financial systems. Now, Uranus is currently in Taurus. Taurus is the sign that is symbolizing wealth, stability, money that you can hold in your hand. And during this transit of Uranus and Taurus, we have seen the rise of cryptocurrency. And the world is being pushed into using digital money rather than cash. Now, where do you stand on that? If you think that is a good thing, you probably will think that Uranus is okay. I personally don't think it's good at all because we're losing our freedoms through it. So if you have a positive Uranus transit going on to your chart, like a sextile or a trine in astrology are known to be quite good, yeah, you may feel briefly like you have a bit more freedom, or it can cause you to rebel against something. But this will happen. It will not be as dramatic as if you had, for example, a Jupiter or a Saturn transit. And as you can see, there are many things accepted under Uranus that if you go back a few thousand years, would not have been allowed in society at all. So let's move on then to Neptune. And Neptune is the one that people get confused about the most, I feel. So Neptune was not discovered until 1846 by a man called Urbain Le Verrier in the Berlin Observatory. So you can't see Neptune without a telescope. Neptune was observed by Galileo in 1613. He thought that Neptune was a fixed star, as his telescope was much too small and primitive to see it properly. So it's 4.5 billion kilometers from Earth. It's the 8th planet from the sun. So what does it symbolize in modern astrology? Now, if you're a New Age person, you will probably feel like Neptune is great. But if you're more traditional, you probably will see that Neptune is being mostly negative, which is kind of the way that I see it. Neptune is about deception, addictions, glamour. So stuff that looks really good on the surface, but actually when you strip away that glamorous facade, it is kind of ugly underneath. It's about illusions. Now, Neptune also rules communism and misplaced empathy. What do I mean by that? It's the people that have this unnatural empathy you can have too much compassion, especially for things that are unnatural. Now, it does have some benefits to it. At the highest frequency of Neptune, you can see stuff like psychic abilities. There's a lot of creative influence here, but most people do not use it with that at all. So in medical astrology, Neptune is connected with cancer, fungal infections, and other diseases. Why is that? Because Neptune is connected with a lack of boundaries. Borders and boundaries are dissolved by Neptune. So it could be something like the physical border of a country, or when it comes to invasive diseases, it will be boundaries within your own body. Neptune also rules drugs, both illegal and pharmaceutical. Neptune is the ruler of the New Age. So New Age belief systems and also partially Christianity and things like that. So this whole kind of turn the other cheek, send your enemies love, don't stand up for yourself, love everyone regardless of their moral character. All of those themes are Neptunian. So then we can move on to Pluto. Pluto was not discovered until 1930. It is a tiny dwarf planet in the Kuiper belt beyond Neptune. So just to put this into perspective, Pluto is so small, 195,000 Plutos could fit on Jupiter. It's 4.67 billion miles from Earth. It's not visible without a telescope. It is named after a ruler of the underworld in Greek mythology. Funnily enough, in the Greek mythology, the ruler of the underworld was Hades. And then it suddenly changed to Pluto. Now, why is that? I don't know. I'm not sure. But that in itself is a little bit kind of suspect. So, what is Pluto connected to in modern astrology? It's mostly connected with destruction. It destroys the traditional themes of a sign. So if we look back to the Pluto and Capricorn transit, which started in 2008, and Pluto is in Aquarius now, but it is going to dip into Capricorn again. Capricorn is the traditional archetype of the father. So traditional father figure, it's also connected to maturity, wisdom, hard work, discipline, being an adult. All of those themes were kind of being destroyed under Capricorn. People are very immature now. Men in particular have been under attack, especially traditional fatherly masculine men. So all of these themes, when Pluto transits through a sign, the themes of that sign will suffer immensely. So one odd thing is that modern astrologers claim that Pluto rules transformation and death, but Saturn has always ruled these themes. Modern astrologers also say that sex is ruled by Pluto. Mars is the ruler of sex. Pluto does have a connection to sex, but it's not the traditional type. It will rule over non-traditional sexual practices such as porn, BDSM, and so on. So what can we get from this information? Now, I already know that a lot of people are going to disagree. They're mostly going to be modern astrologers, not Vedic astrologers. I know that they will disagree with me. It really does depend on how you connect with the modern age. Do you think that the modern age is better? Or do you think it's worse? I personally believe that modern life is terrible for the most part. There's still a lot of good things that we can get out of it. But in terms of society, it has crumbled and become very degenerate. And all of the Vedic astrologers continue to use the traditional rulerships. Was it kind of subversion in the first place? What is subversion? It's when someone pretending to be honest and pretending to have a system that kind of works is deliberately trying to lead you down the wrong path. That happens over and over again. It is a known tactic that communists use. So was it subversion? Quite possibly. I don't have any evidence for it. But what I do know is that for many thousands of years, the traditional rulers were used. And it's just kind of all of a sudden, we are placing so much importance on these planets that we can't see with our naked eyes. So Aquarius is traditionally ruled by Saturn. Aquarians are Saturnian. They are known for their intelligence, their aloofness, their logic. They are known for being concerned with humanity and their tribe. However, they are not super clingy in personal relationships. That is a Saturnian trait. So in ancient times, an Aquarian archetype would be the kind of tribal ruler, not in it for his own gain, but he would have no problem in expelling members of the tribe for their lack of morals. That is a Saturnian trait. Aquarians are also known to be disciplined and responsible. They're not ruled by their emotions. Those are Saturnian traits. Aquarius is stubborn. They will stick to their guns no matter what. There is a rebellious side, but that is also a Saturnian trait. So modern astrologers saying that Uranus is connected to Aquarius, and it just doesn't fit. Scorpio is ruled by Mars, and Scorpio is known for its power. They are ambitious. They will climb to the top of the ladder. They are also known for having quite a bad temper. Their stories about revenge are legendary. Scorpio is also known to be a sexual sign. Every one of these is a Mars trait. Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. So Pisces at its best, without New Age corruption, without all of the nonsense that goes with the modern world, at their best, they have a connection to the spirit worlds. They have a vision. They can see into these worlds. These are Jupiterian traits. Jupiter is also known as the guru. Pisces is the archetype of the priest or priestess. It is the person who has a foot in both worlds. Now, obviously, if you're Pisces and you're working in an office and you're using alcohol as a way of escapism, you don't have a strong spiritual path, then obviously you will see some traits of Neptune within yourself. However, these traditional rulers are the right ones. When we want to achieve something in magic, we pretend that it is real and it has already happened. So by assigning these modern planets as the rulers of these signs, we're kind of creating some magical effect that is distorting our realities and our personalities and making us lose connections with ourselves. So that really is all that I have to say on this matter. Now, again, I did used to use the modern rulers myself until I became educated, and then I realized that it was wrong. And hopefully you can get something out of this. When I read a chart, someone's chart using the traditional rulerships, it is really accurate. So I suggest that you do. This is all stuff that I teach in my astrology courses. So you can check out the link below if you would like to become my student. But hopefully you got something out of this presentation. Please share it if you like it. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Take care and bye.